Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Going to be commentating a series of games for you today between Naugrim and Tarson. We can see right here as the yellow Terran player, we do have Tarson, and to the left position over here, we do have Naugrim as the green Zerg. So this is going to be a Terran vs. Zerg series. Going to be starting things off here on Shattered Temple, the variant of what was once Lost Temple. I did enjoy Lost Temple. I think I like Shattered Temple much better, not having that high ground. Definitely much easier to play on this map as a Zerg player, and I also like the fact that there's no longer an island expansion, but instead this corner expansion is going to be just protected by these destructible rocks. Definitely much more easily accessible by all the races. It used to be pretty easy as Terran on Lost Temple. You could just lift up a command center and float it on over, but now instead of having to get a transport, all races can easily get to that expo right there in the corner. We can see starting things off here, we do have Naugrim moving down that Overlord and going to be spotting Tarson, actually pulling back just in the nick of time. You can see he waited until he skirted right along that edge there, getting just enough vision to grab that command center and then pulled on back. He doesn't want that SCV scout to catch him along the corner any earlier than he basically has to, any earlier than he is forced to. Taking a look inside of Naugrim's base, what do we got going on? Nothing quite as of yet. We might be seeing a pool. No, actually. Looks like he's going to be going for 15 hatch, so going to be pulling down a drone probably once he gets close to 200 minerals. There it is, pulling down that drone. It's going to allow him to drop that expo right there at 15 supply and pretty much hit it as soon as he gets to 300. That's kind of the timing you want to do there. And look at that. Going to drop that right away, and there you have it. Taking a look inside of Tarson's base, what does he got going on? Well, that refinery coming on in right now, so not going to be opening up with a 2 racks or a 1 racks expand or anything like that. Going to allow him to either go for that factory or get that tech lab sometime in the not too distant future. We can see Tarson in fact moving out right now with that SCV scout. He's going to be trying to find precisely where Naugrim is, and it looks like he's going to be checking cross positional first, so not going to be grabbing Naugrim's bases right away. And excellent play by Naugrim. Tarson hasn't spotted those overlords yet. We do have another overlord also eking his way on through over here, and this guy's probably just going to be checking for that refinery. And there you go, skirts right along that edge, sees there's no refinery over there. Now he still hasn't checked this one. But having that, even just a tad bit of knowledge is better than nothing at all. Inside of Naugrim's base, what do we have? Spawning pool just about a little bit over 50% of the way finished. No extractor as of yet. There we go, finally dropping down that extractor. We can see Tarson going to be moving right on across. I'm talking in a very excitable tone, even though there's absolutely jack squat going on. I think the only thing of interest basically was that Overlord Scout pulling on back, but everything has been pretty much standard fare thus far. What do I want to say? Well, yeah, I've got the series today. Going to be casting the series. I'm going to come out with a strategy video, at least one of those today. And then aside from that, StarCraft 2 daily report. Who knows? Maybe it could be today. If it's not today, then it's probably gonna be Friday. And I think I've kind of just decided I'm gonna be doing it 3 times a week. I think that seems the most reasonable. Maybe something along the lines of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think that seems pretty fair, and it seems like that would make the most sense. But look at this SCV getting chased down by these Zerglings. I actually think he's gonna be able to make it back home and get within the range of that Marine before he actually ends up dying. And there you go, actually splitting up those Zerglings there. One of which is gonna be going to that Zelnaga tower. Zergling does need to be careful, though. Doesn't want to engage. Look at all those Marines. Lots of Marines. Heavy Marine push coming out. We also do have a Hellion coming out right now. And look, there's that starport. I haven't looked in Tarson's base in a while, but this is a pretty strong push coming down right now. We can see, however, though, Naugrim is coming out with that Roach Warren, and once that does come into play, he's actually going to do very well against this push. But up until that point, until his first Roaches hit, Tarson has an opportunity to do a little bit of damage. We can see that lone Queen right there. Do we have a Queen up here as well? Yes, we do. And that Roach Warren just about to pop it. Here we go. Queen and drone's going to be forced to push back up. This Queen is in danger of losing its life. Going to be target firing it down, and there you go. The Queen does get dropped. So far, very successful push. Now, Tarson does need to be careful. We do have 5 Roaches coming on through, some of which are actually down here. A nice supply block going down there for Naugrim because of Tarson's target firing of that Overlord there. But he needs to be careful. Roach is about to pop, and these Marines need to head back home right now. They stand no chance at all. There's no point at this point in time at trying to continue this push. Tarson realizes that, and it's going to be heading back home. We can see there comes that Banshee right now. He's got that Tech Lab, not researching that cloak, but just opening up with that Banshee is going to do quite well, especially given the fact that with that early push, Tarson was able to knock down a Queen. That is actually really huge, and this Banshee has an opportunity to do tons of damage. Take a look right there at the queens. We do have just the one queen in production here as well at the that expansion over there. But this Banshee is going to do a bit of damage. We can also see Tarson going to be capitalizing on this chance to get that Expo up. And actually, does Naugrim scout that? Did he spot that Expo being built? Yes, he did. So Naugrim does realize this is coming. He didn't see that starport though, so I don't think he's fully prepared for those queens. We do have that metabolic boost coming on through. Hellions basically right out front, ready to hit pretty much probably as soon as that Banshee goes through. So Banshee going to be moving on in, and this is going to be a little bit of a problem here for Naugrim. Hellions accidentally engaging those roaches, the last thing in the world that they want to do. Hellions are never ever going to do well against roaches. I think Tarson's paying a little bit too much attention though to this Banshee right now. Going to start working on these drones. Needs to go straight for that queen right now. Needs to be careful though if that second queen comes forward to engage. Actually, he's not even going to bother with the queen. He's just going to go start trying to take out some workers and then pull on back once he gets damaged. Probably going to pull off some SCVs, try to get a couple repairs down, and then head back out once he does have that second Banshee in play as well. And this is not looking good in all honesty for Naugrim. He does have that layer just about finished right now. He's going to be getting either Hydras or Mutas at that point. But this is going to be a big problem. I want to see a repair go down on that. We do have that second Banshee. Actually, there we go. Going to wait until this one gets repaired up. So here we go. Getting some guys down, getting ready to repair, and then he's going to be heading right back out. Let's take another look. We do have this one queen right here. Did he end up getting any more? No, he did. He does have two, but that's it. He's got two queens. And actually, these two Banshees are going to drop this one queen very quickly and then probably work on the second one. Now, we do have that Spire coming on through, and that is obviously exactly what Naugrim needs to do. He needs to get up that higher attack. Also, that Baneling Nest. In terms of army count, who's at the advantage right now? Tarson is sitting at a slight advantage at the moment. And here we go. Actually, again, going to still be just going straight for the worker. So Tarson really wants to hurt that econ there, forcing the drones to pull away from the line, and then going to be heading straight down to the natural. Did he spot that? Yes, he did. So he knows at this point that the Spire's coming out, and actually just chilling here for a moment. Actually going to be going straight for the Spire. He's going to try to force the cancellation of it. He may very well get this queen. Going to be going to low ground. Going to want to try to target fire down this one that's very low, and this is going to be very close. Is he going to force the cancellation? I think he will. Naugrim losing the Spire building. He was forced to cancel that and drop it back down, and that is a big victory for Tarson. The fact that he was able to force that cancellation is absolutely huge. It's going to drastically cut back on the amount of time it takes, obviously, for those Mutas to come out. Looks like Tarson's going to be making that transition now into probably Marine heavy. Has he got Stimpack coming? Yes, he does. Probably going to be getting Combat Shield. We do see that reactor right there. And then some tanks as well. So a little bit of bio mix with those tanks. Going to be very effective. And he has got a whole lot going on. Combat Shield, bunch of production going down here as well. He's also got that Engineering Bay because he knows those Mutas are going to be coming. So he wants to get some turrets up at some point in the near future. Taking a look inside of Naugrim's base, we do have those centrifugal hooks coming out for those Banelings. 22 Zerglings making their way on through. Again, that Spire not yet finished because of that forced cancellation. That was really nice play by Tarson. I really like play with Banshees without cloak, just doing a little bit of harassment, trying to hit the econ. These are all things that can be very effective. You can see right now Tarson had a big advantage in terms of units killed. 17 units killed, 12 of which have been workers. That is quite a bit, and he's actually mounting up quite a bit of a task force, and I would expect to push, and here you go. Tarson going to be pushing out right now, and again, Spire just finished a moment ago, so there are no Mutalisks out. He's going to be building a bunch of Mutalisks right now, but even that amount is not going to be enough to deal with this. We do have those centrifugal hooks just about finished. If he can get that siege tank up and in the mode though, and if he can get into a nice position, basically, he's going to be doing pretty well in this push. Can see Naugrim splitting up his forces. He does have a bunch of Zerglings over here as well as any forces inside of his main base. He wants to be able to try to get us around. I'm really liking this Raven in here as well, allowing him to drop down these creep tumors pretty much no problem. And also, in case he would ever have to deal with burrowed roaches in the future, he did see roaches initially. Is he going to spot this? Oh my gosh, he is. He's going to spot this group. I'm expecting him to almost turn around and actually take that out, but no, he is actually going to be headed back home right now. So deciding he doesn't want to engage that quite as of yet. Just going to be moving around, doing some scouting, basically checking for any sort of stray Zerglings that may be anywhere around the map. And actually, here we goes back to that Zelnaga tower. Let's take a look over here. More reinforcements going to be headed on out. 2 more barracks coming on down. We can see Tarson does have that Expo up and running right now. I thought he was. Yes, he was. Naugrim was working on those destructible rocks. And here we go. Muta's going to be moving in the main base. There is not a lot defending Tarson's main base right now. Muta's going to try to target fire down those turrets, but we do have one SCV repairing that. And look at how quickly just a couple of turrets can push back a small group of Mutalisks. It isn't until those Mutas get in large numbers that they actually push in on that. And here we go, some nice spread right now. Needs to be careful. Speedlings, Bane is going to be coming in from both sides here, going for the sandwich effect. And look at that, very effective work here from Naugrim. Very impressive. I really like that play right there. Pulling in with the Speedlings and Banelings from both sides, moving in with those Mutas and Roaches as well. Just a very nice mix of units here from Naugrim, and he just completely mopped up everything that Tarson had. That was definitely not what Tarson was hoping to have happen. Now, I know that he saw that small group of units over here. I'm surprised he didn't check before moving out for that initial push to see if he could try to take those out. In all honesty, if he could have taken those out, the Speedlings and Banelings that were mopped up, that were basically positioned up in this corner, he would have stopped that sandwich, and it would have been much easier because all the fire of his units would have been in this direction instead of having to spread between these two areas. So yeah, that was not very good for Tarson. Now he's going to actually have to deal with that Muta harassment. Is not going to be quite as prepared for it. Taking a look at the army tab, we can see Naugrim had a big advantage, 48 to the 30 supply here of Tarson. So Tarson going to be frantically trying to work his way back up in supply and army count so he can catch up and actually deal with what Naugrim's going to throw at him. Naugrim finishing off those rocks here at this high yield. Going to be dropping that next expo very shortly. I'm expecting to see a drone head on over there sometime in the not too distant future. And here we go, big group starting to at least work up the numbers here on these Mutas. He's got 3 more coming on through. And once he gets a little bit larger cloud of Mutalists, he's going to be able to move in and actually pick off those turrets very quickly. He needs to be careful though. We do have these Marines here, and here come the Mutas. But again, with these Marines, if they're prepared, they're going to be actually headed straight for them and going to shred right through those numbers. Marines, especially with that Stimpak and Combat Shield, are so very effective at taking out those Mutalisks. Becomes a little bit difficult to deal with. And actually, here we go. We do have this expo up here for Naugrim. So Naugrim first deciding to move his 3rd up in this position, and then eventually later down the road, he's going to be getting his 4th here at this high yield. At this point, probably doesn't want to get a 4th, especially since Tarson isn't on that 3rd base yet. But actually, look, Tarson's just about prepared to do so. Going to start working down these rocks, and he's going to be moving this 3rd on over here. And now, basically, as soon as Tarson gets this up, that is when we're going to want to see the 4th. And look at that, Naugrim going to be responding as he is expecting this 3rd to be going down from Tarson. So there you have it. Good play. Muta's going to be moving on in, trying to snipe down some buildings. I think they got a turret that was placed right there, and was trying to go for that tech lab there as well. But look, even that small group of Marines is basically enough to pull back and force those Mutas to head back home, because it is quite a scary prospect. Lots of upgrades coming down here for Naugrim. We can see right now he does have that roach speed coming on through. Also got the level 2 melee attack, and let's see what else he's got going on. Pathogen glands coming out, so he does have that infestation pit. Is he going to be going up for a hive? Not quite as of yet. Here we go, Mutas pushing on forward. You know what I really like right now, though, from Naugrim is that he's mixing things up. He's got roaches in there, Speedlings and Banelings. He's got those Mutas flying around. He's obviously planning on getting infestors here as well. And here comes that hive right now. So he's going to be going for a nice, healthy mix of units, not just sticking to the average Speedling, Baneling, Muta, but throwing in other units there, allowing you to more properly deal with so many things. And look at this Muta harass going down. There's nothing in the main base here of Tarson. Tarson's going to be losing a lot of supply, and he's actually, I think he's just going to be pushing out instead, realizing he's too far away. Wow, nice scan going now, dropping a few of those infestors, and this is actually going to force Naugrim to pull back because he knows this big push is coming. And if he doesn't have all of his forces, he could have quite a hard time. A nice tank spread going down, but needs to be careful not to get those Marines a little bit closer. There we go. The last thing you want is any outlying tanks to get sniped down by Mutas, so you got to have this nice spread of not only your tanks, but your Marines as well. He's going to be probably going for a slow push right now. We can see Naugrim's going to be trying to do the same thing and spread out his units to hit from multiple angles. We do have these Mutas trying to hit from the backside, but again, we do have all of these Marines back here, so he does need to be careful. And here comes the push right now. Banelings and Speeds roll forward. Marines going to be forced to stim and pull back right now, spreading them up to try to stay away from all that Baneling fire. There are lots of Banelings though, and the Mutas are just going to be too much right now for these Marines to handle. There are not quite enough Marines. Do we have reinforcements coming? Yes, we do. Reinforcements are actually going to push that back, and Tarson still does have quite a few remaining tanks, so he can now continue up this push. Naugrim just lost a lot trying to push into that. He basically just did not have quite enough. There was a really nice tank spread and some great micro and pulling back of the units there by Tarson. So very impressive play. Stim Marines trying to go down and snipe down a few of those Mutas. And again, he just needs to be careful because like these back tanks right here are very vulnerable, while all those Marines are in another position. And another push coming out. Lots of roaches in there, coupled with those Speedlings and Banelings. A very nice spread, very nice micro there from Naugrim. Also going to be moving on down after all those Marines are dropped. These Mutas are going to be able to go to town there. And Tarson again just lost everything. He's going to be forced right now to push back with the units he does have. These two are going to get dropped very quickly, and there you go. And I wonder if Naugrim's going to try to counterattack. He really doesn't have to. At this point in the game, he can just continue to macro up, continue to work on his economy, because he has got a huge advantage right now over Tarson. 55 army supplies opposed to 36. Let's take a look at the units killed there. Actually, Tarson has killed more overall, but still, those past 2 big engagements, we have seen Naugrim come out decisively on top. He's just been in a really, really good position, I would have to say. And just relying, this whole game, he's just been using the small group of Mutalisks. Hasn't really got that huge death cloud. Just been using them to harass a little bit, and then to pick off any tanks once those big pushes do come. And again, Tarson, 2 pushes in a row failed. He just wasn't able to deal with the multi-pronged attack from Naugrim. Basically, he couldn't handle what he was laying down. Couple turrets over here going to be protecting this base, but we do have those mutas flying in. Are they going to be enough to drop that center tower? I think they may be. Repair's trying to go down, but it is enough. Stim Marines pulling down, but of course those mutas can just go ahead and leave as soon as those Stim Marines decide to show up. And it looks like actually Naugrim going to be trying to work down these back rocks and push into Tarson's third. If he can take out this third, Tarson was going to be in a lot of trouble. He does have a few infestors over here with quite a bit of energy, and that's going to allow him to take out these small groups of Marines very, very quickly. Not seeing much counter harass at all from Tarson. Haven't really seen any drops this game. Being able to drop on your opponent and snipe down buildings, snipe down some of the workers is definitely a very effective tactic. We do have okay, we do have 2 medevacs moving across the board with nothing in them. So that's interesting. I would almost say this is like a diversion tactic, but there was nothing else to accompany that, so I don't think that's what it was. I think that was just a misrally. Yeah, I think he just had a starport rallied over there. That's very, very, very unfortunate, I have to say. Those small losses are the kind of things you don't want to happen. Stim Marine's going down, going to be dropping these roaches, but at this point, Tarson does know that Naugrim has worked down these back rocks, so he has to keep an eye as to what's going on over there. Muta's pushing forward, even though he knows there's a lot of Marines over here, but Marines actually going to be going to the opposite side, meeting up just in time with the Mutas, though, and going to be forcing them to push back. Right now, this base is a little bit vulnerable. Can see a couple barracks going down, probably to try to buffer any sort of attack if Banelings do try to roll in here. Aside from that, obviously, the extra production is helpful as well, but putting buildings to buffer and protect your expansions isn't the worst of ideas, and it can definitely buy you just a little bit of time to get those reinforcements in and protect your base before it does get dropped. Muta's continuing to fly around. We are seeing that transition right now into Brewlords come down. That hive is of course finished. We got that Greater Spire over here, and then those Brewlords are coming on out, and at this point in the game, I am not sure Tarson is prepared for that. I'm pretty sure he hasn't scouted that out. Let's take a look. Yeah, he did see a building, but I don't see any Vikings coming out for him, surprisingly enough, and that's precisely what he needs to do. He does have a couple ghosts out to deal with those, to try to deal with those infestors, but he's got no Vikings. He's going to have a very, very difficult time dealing with those Brewlords once those are hatched, and here we are. Brewlords are in place, so I am expecting that push right now to come down from Naugrim. Naugrim's also on 5 bases right now, as opposed to the 3 of Tarson. Now, Tarson is getting ready to drop that 4th, but again, he just does not have the unit composition at this point in time to deal with what Naugrim is going to be hitting with, likely very, very shortly. I really, really would like to see a couple of Vikings. The problem is, okay, you would say, yes, Marines. Marines do very well against those, but the problem is that once your Marines try to engage, you're going to see a fungal growth. That's kind of the issue, so it's going to come down to if he can get some EMPs down. Needs to be careful of taking so much splash damage from his own tanks, and actually, Naugrim can just sit here and let those tanks destroy his own units. And there we go. As soon as the Unsiege goes down, Naugrim with that big, deadly push. Fungal growths going down on all the Marines. Banelings and Roaches just rolling into everything. And we just saw the Terran army get completely decimated. Broodlords are absolutely a game changer in this matchup. If you are not prepared with the proper tech, you cannot deal with Broodlords. They are so deadly. There's nothing right now that Tarson can do. And there is the expected GG. As I said, absolutely unbelievable. Brewlords are completely a game changer. The issue is you have your tank line set up. You've got your Marines. That's kind of the normal comp you're doing a lot of time as a Terran player against Zerg. But once those Brewlords come into play, those Broodlings swooping down on your units, forcing the splash damage from your tanks to hit your own Marines, to hit your other tanks. And then when you unsiege your tanks to try to deal with it, you just see what we saw here. A giant roll-in of units, Speedlings, Banelings, and Roaches just completely mopping up everything Tarson had. So great game between these two players. Again, this is going to be a series between these two, so stay tuned as we move on to game number 2 in just one moment. And remember, guys, if you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Keep watching and keep owning.